there is the grid set by qualifying earlier today. Brown and Hislop on the front row. Andy Sarandis and Michael Nagy will be on the second row. David Walden, Peter Ingram on row 3. Troy Marinelli and Michael Cruz start on the 4th row, and Scott Willing and Michael Riemann start on the 5th row at positions 9 and 10, the CBS Bins entry. Justin Wade joins Matty Ingram on the 6th row. Cameron Vanendungen will start alongside Scott Cook on the 7th row. Anthony Norris and Philip Andrus starts on the 8th row, down to Ian Statham in position 19. And we go back to Stratton Limbris, one of the guys who's been around for many years in improved production racing. Bob Jowett and Bruce Henley, a guy we know very well as well. And Brad Chick will start out of 31st position in this capacity field, of which they had to take some nominations and not accept because the nominations for this were so big, but we had to cap the grid at a certain limit.
It's always good when you get grassroots categories like this, attending events like this, and we get capacity grids. That is awesome. I love seeing that stuff. And I love watching this type of racing. You see cars with strengths and weaknesses, and the guys inside them driving them have really got to be sharp because, you know, they've gone for practice and quali where they're out there on their own being able to flow and use their car to all their strengths. Now they're going to be in the middle of the battle.
Back on board with the 40 Weeks Hawthorn Mazda RX-7s. He'll take his grid position in this. Now we talk about big differences between the front cars and the back cars. There's over 2 litre and under 2 litre cars right through this category, and upwards of 10 to 15 seconds. So we will have traffic before the end of this race.
Absolutely. Ray Hislop, he'll be coming in amongst that traffic very, very quickly. But Chris Brown, in that beautifully turned out Sprinter, looks like it was very nice of Stephen Richards to lend him a set of wheels off his Porsche Carrera Cup car there from last year. Or at least a can of spray paint for them.
Exactly right. Green flag at the back, cars going right around the Adelaide hairpin. Isn't it a cool sight as we bring the revs up for race number 1 of the weekend of the Adelaide 500. Brown and Hislop from the front row. They're going to be swallowed up because the 99 of Andy Sarandis in the Lancer will take the lead on the run down to the centre chicane. Hislop will move into second on the dustier side. There's still lots of dust on the inside of the Barry Sheene pit straight, so our pole position man will drop back to 3rd as everybody filters their way through and up Wakefield Street for the first of 8 laps.
So Sarandis with a terrific start in that 4-wheel drive Lancer, maximising his grip there. If you've got 4 tyres touching the ground, trying to put the power to the ground, you're always going to beat 2, aren't you?
Exactly right.
He's just streaked away, clear road. We saw a couple of bottlenecks happening from a similar situation mid-pack. Here we are for RX-7 bragging rights.
Vanendungen behind the 23 of Matty Ingram at the moment. And again, he's found his own racing line on the other side of the curve as they head down Bartels Road and into the high-speed sweeper on lap number 1. And not over at the front because here comes the big Falcon of Ray Hislop, who lynches onto the back of the Lancer. So the first 3 start to disappear around the backside of this complex of left-hand turns in this Adelaide street circuit.
And this is where it's going to get tricky for Ray Hislop. I mentioned at the start of the race that the drivers in these cars have got strengths and weaknesses in different areas, and the 4-wheel drive is going to be able to get the power to the ground pretty well, but it doesn't have much straight line. Speaking of straight line, and good braking.
This will be a good run down the straight. Hislop will have the better line. If he gets the power down, he will. Pass the Toyota Sprinter and he'll move back to 2nd place as Sarandis leads us through in lap number 2.
It was a great move from Chris Brown, but just not enough horsepower in that car.
And he'll be stronger up the top, and that's why Hislop's protecting on the run up to Wakefield Street. Same too with Sarandis into the staircase section of this Adelaide circuit, and already they've got 3 seconds on the field.
Ray Hislop, he's the busy man here. He's looking forward, he's looking back, he's looking forward, he's looking back. And this is where it's hard. Look at that. Sarandis
goes for it.
I'm surprised that he was able to get that job done there. I'd say Sarandis has got an issue, which he does. He's slowing because the 4-wheel drive Lancer should have had heaps more pace. Speaking of pace, you see the
1600, yeah. It almost turned it inside out on the exit of Hunt Street. And what a shame for Sarandis. And dramas now for Vanendungen. It's coming to a slow on the back straight.
Just looked like he used that curb again on the outside of turn 7. And unfortunately, when you're jumping over the curb like that, he's in neutral. We can see that. He's checking. But has he done a drive shaft or some sort of drivetrain issue? Because it looked like as he came over that curb on the exit of 7, normally would have got on the throttle and been able to run out of the corner with everybody else. The car just lacked drive.
Now, it's not 5 o'clock here in Adelaide yet, so you will have to put money in that parking meter, which is right next to the concrete wall.
Well, he's going to have to fight there as well, because I think he'll take a ticket because Sarandis is trying to currently get it to read his credit card.
And it'll be one of those times where his radio won't work. And it's an engine issue. It's come back to us. So he's out the race early on. Meantime, we head up to the top of Wakefield Street here on lap number 3. So I thought the pole man was turning the car around then. The Newlon Toyota Sprinter of Chris Brown, the man who got pole position chasing Mr. Unstoppable and improved production cars in the past decade in Ray Hislop. They climb the staircase into Hutt Street, now into the right-hander and down Bartels Road.
So Chris Brown looking very, very happy sitting behind Ray Hislop there, especially with the amount of sideways action he's got going on. We can see the Cam Vandendungen car off to the right-hand side there. We have heard word that that car got to 111 degrees engine temp.
That's not good. As we take a look at the replay of the starts, and the second of the Mazda's almost had its nose bitten off by the second row, and that's Hislop going down the inside. I mean, there is a lot of dust left-hand side. Here's the view from the 40 Winks RX-7. What do you rate that as a start?
Well, it looked like he had a bit of a hesitation on the actual clutch release from Cam there, but once he got going, it was pretty good. It's always a bit of a bottleneck here, 2 cars wide, taking it nice and easy, making sure that you don't trip over somebody or even land awkwardly off that curb. So replay of an overtake here, Chris Brown getting the job done on Ray Hislop. That Sprinter's got some really good braking.
It's the sound of Cameron Vandendungen coming to an end. Let's have a listen as he turns right here.
So that's an awkward one. We did get word to say that he'd shut that engine down because of an overheating issue, but I can't help but feel like when we dig a bit deeper into that sounded and looked more drivetrain related than anything. So
he was trying to search for a gear, wasn't he?
We might see if we can get a motorbike out to Cam and get a microphone in his hand and get him back to work in the pit lane. He might be able to update us on what his issue was.
Exactly. Meantime, the leaders go past the stranded RX-7. Brown and Hislop out to 6 seconds now over Walden. Michael Nagyb is in 4th, and Peter Ingram, your top 5, as we're almost halfway home in the first of 3 races in the improved production cars here at the Adelaide 500. Back to the battle with 3rd and 4th position right now. Walden, who qualified in 5th position, has inherited a couple of positions in this race so far. It turned on some great racing in 2017. You get the feeling it's going to be the same over the course of this 20th anniversary weekend in Adelaide.
What a great battle here for 3rd and 4th. We also have an enthralling battle happening at the front of the grid here. We thought that Ray Hislop would have had this absolutely his own way. So we've got some really good little battle pads happening. We can see here that Walden is just holding out Nagyb in 4th. And these guys, I keep talking about it, the strengths and weaknesses of the different cars. Speaking of strength, that Datsun, we spoke earlier, I mentioned earlier, the rally heritage of that car. You can see how happy it is there with some opposite lock going on out of turn 3.
It's happy to be sideways.
Great shot.
Runs in 4th position right now, chasing 2017 under 2 litre national champion in David Walden. As we head down Bartels Road once again.
That's the type of angle that we're used to seeing, or I as a kid remember seeing Datsuns rallying on those angles with huge amounts of steering lock on. That is terrific.
That's what I'm built to do. Not go straight.
For sure.
Here's Matty Ingram, the next to the RX-7s. The liquor flame out the back. Suddenly some overcast conditions, isn't there? There's been a beautiful day here in Adelaide. Certainly not hot by any stretch, but just some cloud cover late in the afternoon. Down to turn 8 they go. Brown's lead is 2 seconds back to Hislop in the front. Walden a further 8 seconds. We saw him with Michael Nagyb back in 4th and Peter Ingram in 5th. This is Matty Ingram in the foreground of the shot. Peter Andreas in the 32. Oh, there's the moment for the 12 of Norris, who almost spun in front of the group down to turn 9 hairpin. We're in the second half of this race. Master Shannon's Walcam at the back of turn 11, 12 and 13. So these guys some 20 plus seconds behind the rest of the field as Little Bimmer goes down the inside and access denied at the Adelaide hairpin. Replay of the 32. This is first look now. This is the 12 of Norris. Watch on the exit. Did he get that curb? Because it's a long edge on that curb. It's enough to trip him up at times.
And it doesn't take much. It's got this really funny little flat edge before it angles up. So if you just tuck the tyre in a little bit too much, it tends to suck you in and pull you around the corner. And that's what it looked like there. Philip Andrews in 13th. He's on the move. He's passed 4 cars since the start of that race, and he's one guy that's actually progressing forward. It's pretty dirty on the inside down to the hairpin there, so we saw him have a pretty good hard look, but just decided that he needed to pull the car up a bit shorter and live to fight another day. This battle continues for P3 and 4.
The Gibber's going to line him up here, maybe for a look at the top of the Adelaide hairpin. Little Datsun 1600. Won't do it there, but he's left the door open. The 9 of Walden leaves the door open, but it was again the sideways action of the 1600. It was his for taking there.
So Walden was very much covering the line there to stop Nagib from having a look up the inside, but got very deep into the corner. Wasn't able to make the apex, and Nagib, I feel like he's hungry here. He's the guy with a bit of momentum. He's closed that gap. Let's see if he can get the job done. And if he can get the job done, is he going to do it sideways?
Yeah, exactly. We hope so.
Absolutely.
Turn 7 would be nice, thank you.
Or turn 8.
Turn 8. That would be gutsy, wouldn't it?
Say that. Oh, no. Problem for Nagib there. He's fallen off the back. We saw his hand go up inside that car, so looks pretty terminal. Slowed at a rapid rate.
So this is the move I talked about from ground level. So Walden left the door open for Nagib, but then he got the 1600 sideways for the 17th time in this race. And it could have been enough for him to take that position, but then it all came to nothing at the top of Hutt Street. Meantime, it's back on at the front. Hislop locks up, and Brown looks like he's gone off in the background.
And we've gone to the next camera waiting for them to come out.
He is off.
Both guys ran off the road. Oh no, Chris Brown doing such a great job there to battle with Ray Hislop.
You know he's going to come out in front of Walden here. Was that Walden going past, so he's dropped back to 3rd. That was 13 seconds, Andy. He just lost there alone. And
possibly 4th too if he's not careful, because Ingram looked like he had momentum on his side and was going to get around him before the second last turn.
So suddenly Ray Hislop has 14 seconds on the field. Just like that, the Big Falcon stretches the legs up Wakefield Street for the final time in race 1 of the improved production cars.
We thought he'd have a big lead at the end of this race, Hislop, but he hasn't had it all his own way.
It was less than a second a minute ago, and now he can look in the mirror when he goes on the Bartels Road going, is this an 8-lap race or have I gone 1 lap too many? There'll be nobody behind him, and he can just cruise down Bartels Road.
And he is. Look at him staying off that curb for the last corner, making sure that he looks after this car. And with the rate of attrition that's going on out there, that's a smart move. Very, very smart move. He would have been loving that battle, though, inside that car. And probably the racer that we know that Ray Hislop is, he would have loved to have finished this race the way he was just battling there with
the
Chris
sprinter
Brown,
still second.
Unfortunately. Yeah, he would have wanted that to go right down to the checkered flag.
So now he's battling with Walden for 2nd and 3rd. He might just get this back, Andy, at the turn 9 hairpin. So down the inside he goes.
We know it's dirty there, and Chris Brown knows it's dirty because he should have better braking than that. He's been very, very good to get the job done on the dirty side of the road.
So they battle for 2nd and 3rd. Meantime, Ray Hislop is about to come out the final turn and win the race. He's off the Adelaide hairpin. Front row start. He started from P2 and collects the win by a massive margin in race 1 of the improved production cars. Brown will get 2nd after, well, he could have won this race, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel bad for Chris Brown. He sort of got tripped up a little bit. Ray Hislop locked that left front over in the back section behind the pit area, and it just forced Chris Brown into a mistake behind him when he reacted to Hislop's mistake and ended up in the fence. But Ray Hislop pressed on. He was the first driver to greet the checkered flag.
But a great form guide for these cars this weekend. with 2 more races still to come as Hislop wins the race by 13.2 seconds. So this is what happened a couple of laps earlier. Battle for the lead initially. He got the car up on the curb on the right-hand side, and it's hard to pull it up from that point.
Yeah, he did, absolutely, but I feel like that was a reaction to the little moment that Hislop was having ahead of him. Not a great angle to see, but when we saw the rear shot before, there was a little puff of blue smoke. I think Chris reacted, ended up on the curb, and just was out of sequence, unfortunately. What a great battle between those two guys at the start.
Even without a microphone, he's still talking down there. Cameron Van den Dungen, who retired early in the race. In this attrition-filled race, number 1 of the improved production cars. Ray Hislop, 13 seconds clear of Brown, Walden, Ingram and Willing back in 5th position. Right down to the likes of Scott Cook in 11th. Over the page to Scott Hoback at 19th, Wade Reynolds, and then a list of DNFs towards the bottom, including Michael Nagib in 28th spot, who was battling at one point for 3rd position, and Andy Sarandis, who led the race. We forgot about him. Suddenly he was out of it after 2 laps. Hopefully they get that car repaired for race number 2 here tomorrow. I enjoyed that. There's a lot to look at.
Terrific. It really turned on the same show that we had here last year. What a spectacle to watch by these guys. Well done.
And Ray Hislop getting the applause of this solid Thursday crowd here. Let's look at the highlights of race number 1 of the improved production cars here today on the streets of Adelaide.
Sarandis with the jump in the 4-wheel drive Lancer. And he left Hislop and Chris Brown to battle it out behind him. And a battle it was, wasn't it? Chris Brown really making the most of that Sprinter, and then Hislop using the power under the bonnet of that Falcon.
It's a great view, wasn't it, looking down into turn number 1. Hislop, when we thought this was opportunistic, it turns out Sarandis was having a drama and would ultimately stop the car a little bit further down Bartels Road. And then our own Cameron Van den Dungen did the same thing about a lap later, something a bit more sinister than engine temperature, perhaps, for the RX-7.
And we saw Chris Brown doing a lot of that sideways action. He had a few looks. This was one where he got the job done, but it didn't last for too long. Hislop, the over and under and change of position for the race lead was terrific. Likewise, this battle.
Yes.
More sideways action.
This was cool. We thought it was enough for Nagib to get past, and then Hislop under siege from our pole position man in Chris Brown through the turn 8 sweeper. Oh, we didn't see this happen late behind the scenes, and big contact on the left-hand side. But Ray Hislop was 13 seconds clear in the end and picks up race number 1 of the improved production cars here at Adelaide.